I'm Delphine Tumsime Mujisha, Country Director at Raising Voices. For purposes of this recording and so that you can hear me audibly, I'm requesting to remove my mask.
Our social studies teacher is called Teacher Francis. He has got something special about him than other teachers. He explains well, he's a kind teacher and he's lovely.
The journey of Raising Voices began 20 years ago. Raising Voices was founded by two individuals, Deepak Naker and Lori Mishaw, who now live in the US, but they are the founding directors of Raising Voices. Raising Voices is an organization, a non-profit organization, that was formed to combat or fight or reduce or eradicate violence against women and violence against children. Why women and why children specifically? Of course, way back 20 years ago, there were very few organizations which were involved in this field. There were many who were involved in gender issues and all that, but specifically focusing on women and children in school, because we focus on children in school, not just children anywhere, but children in school. It was a unique thing. And so Raising Voices started as a small organization, really, with very few staff. At the moment, we have about 25 staff, and at that time, there were just like 4. And then they had like a few volunteers, 2 or 3 volunteers coming in, but slowly by slowly, we have been growing. We now have 25 full-time staff, and we have some interns, and we also have some volunteers. So we have grown. Our offices are now in Kamocha. At that time, they didn't even have office space. They were just, working from small rooms. But now we have a fully fledged office, and we are known. Our programs have expanded. We have a program which we call the Gender-Based Violence Prevention Network. That program particularly targets not only Uganda, but also beyond Uganda. We bring in other countries like Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Malawi, Rwanda, all countries within Southern and Eastern Africa. It is kind of a membership where you apply to join. But Raising Voices is the one that is holding this portfolio. And within that platform, the reason why we went beyond Uganda is because we realized that to change the social norms around violence prevention, you can't only be dealing with one country. We need to look at the whole continent. But for now, we only have resources to reach East and Southern Africa. We have a few from West Africa. We have a few from North Africa. Our aim is to cover the whole continent at one time. But so far, we have that program. We also have another program where we do a lot of research. And the research that we do is really to give us evidence. When we say we are fighting against violence, which kind of violence? Is it intimate partner violence? Is it sexual violence? Which kind of violence is it? Which violence is higher than the other? You can't just go and fight violence in general. So the studies help us to actually narrow down. And we now know, for instance, that one of the greatest and hardest forms of violence to fight is intimate partner violence. This is the violence which is between spouses, which is between partners. It is just the two of them who can tell you whether the relationship is violent or not. You who is outside, you may not be able to see it. And we are finding that, however, that is where somebody is affected most psychologically, emotionally, mentally, and physically. Because the husband or wife can be abusive. By the way, we recognize that this violence can be either on women's side and men's side. And when I abuse you, you're the only one who can know that I abused you. Everyone else around will not know. So as Raising Voices, we also developed a toolkit, which we call SASA, like I was saying. SASA means start. Start means we help you understand what violence is. You define it. You appreciate that, yes, I'm being violated. Because there are many people who are in denial. Why am I saying who are in denial? Our society, for instance, says, when a man wants to show you how much he loves you, he should be beating you. Now you can see that that was the way in which society had shaped our people to accept violence as a good thing, that when my husband beats me, he has shown me too much love. So now for us, we are saying, that kind of love is not really good, because when you start losing teeth and your face gets deformed and your arm is broken, really that is not love anymore, it is something else. And so within that session, we look at start by helping people to understand what violence is. And then we move to the other one, which we call awareness. Now you are aware, meaning that I appreciate that I need help. Because I can't come and force you and say, my friend, you need to be free from the violence. It is you to reach a point and say, enough is enough. I can't sleep. I'm wasting a lot of money going to hospital, which money I would have been using to invest, but because of the wounds I have, you know, and you know, when you're in a violent relationship, you don't have harmony. There is no peace. You are not talking, you know, in a manner that allows you to really communicate well. So you don't agree on things. You're disagreeing. One is heading the other side, the other one is heading the other side. You are planning differently. You're not planning well. You're not focusing on the family. So that is the phase of awareness. Then we go to the other one we call S support. Remember that SASA is SASA. So under support, there is where we are saying, okay, so what kind of help now do you need? The help that you may need may be counseling. You may need counseling, you yourself, to be counseled. For instance, if you were hiding your salary, even your partner doesn't know how much you earn, maybe now this is the time to declare that, by the way, I earn this amount of money. But that must be, you're going through phases, remember. In other words, you're kind of like healing, coming out of that pit you were in, but you were now healing. And at that point is where we say, okay, you have the money. How can you use this money to enrich your family? Joint planning, okay? So when we plan together, we agree, you take actions, I take actions. You take responsibility, I take responsibility. We come together and we achieve together, yeah? So that is now support. You are beginning to be supportive. Your partner is supporting you. Your fellow women are supporting you. They are counseling you. Maybe you've gone to a professional counselor. Now things are open. There is no more hiding. There is no more, you know, having a hidden agenda. The agendas are all there. They are at the table. Then the final A is about action. Action means, now for me, I have gained a lot. Let me move to my neighbor also. Start talking to my neighbor, and also encourage her or encourage him, encourage that family to do the same. And when you move into action, that's where you see groups coming together, like circles. People who say, we are 10 families, we think the same way. We all want to improve, we all want to develop. So why don't we form a circle? They form a circle because they know each other, they trust each other, and so on and so forth. So those are some of the activities that we do in the communities. And we have been following up. We have had studies, like I say, to find out, does this approach really work? Do people's attitudes really change? Do people's behaviors really change? A man who used to beat his wife, has he stopped really beating his wife? And I can tell you it is true. The evidence is there. That is why we decided to scale up this approach to other communities, because we realized that there is a change. Same in school. In school, we have another toolkit we call the Good School Toolkit. So remember, we have two areas. Violence against women, there we use the SASA Toolkit. Violence against children, we use the Good School Toolkit. In the Good School Toolkit, we are promoting a conducive learning environment for the child, so that the teacher is a friend to the child, not an enemy to the child. And the child is also a friend to the teacher. The child does not fear the teacher. The child can approach the teacher, ask a question, you know, even if he doesn't understand, will still come back and ask a question without fear. Yet in the past, we know you would ask a teacher and the teacher says, you're asking questions. Why are you the one always asking questions, you know? And the child would be intimidated and would fear to ask questions. So in the Good School Toolkit, we shun that kind of violence. Then what is the alternative? The alternative is, if I stop talking, if I stop shouting at the child, if I stop telling the child you are stupid, you know, using harsh language, what is the alternative? The alternative is dialogue. If a child has not done homework, take the child aside and find out what happened. Do you know the consequences of not doing your homework? Do you know it is affecting your studies? Help the child understand, because the child has a brain. Help the child understand, show the child the consequences, and agree with the child. Enter a contract with the child, an agreement with the child, so that the child starts also becoming responsible. Agree with the child that this thing will not happen. Will it not happen? Yes, you agree, and you write and sign. This is our agreement, me and you. This is not going to happen again. Okay? Then you hold each other accountable. So the child learns from an early age that I don't need to beat, I don't need to fight, I don't need to quarrel. I just need to tell this person that this is wrong, and we agree to change it. And we keep checking each other. Have we changed? Have we not changed? And if we violate what we agreed to, again we come back and talk. Why? What happened? So we promote alternative forms of discipline, like for instance, making the child stand in a corner. The child has come late. Instead of beating the child, let the child stand. Next time, the child will not feel comfortable. Others are studying while seated. This child is studying while standing for 1 hour. That is discomfort. So that discomfort makes the child not want to do it again. The child will be punctual next time. Or you can give other forms of discipline, for instance, like making the child write a letter and make write that letter 10 times, the same letter 10 times. Yeah? You think it is comfortable? It is not comfortable. So that means the child is beginning to realize that I need to be disciplined. The child also, within the child, there is that feeling that I must change. I cannot keep the same way. So that is what we promote. Because we know that by doing that, children will love the learning environment. They will be free to open up, and they will be free to they will not feel that they are a burden to the school or a burden to any of the teachers. Of course, in our work, we have also met challenges. Everything has not been rosy, like we know. It has been tough. For instance, we had reached out to 1,000 schools all over the country at one time. And later on, after like